I'd like to show you how to make a whistle. The first thing I do is roll out clay and cut rounds with a cardboard template I have. Then I stamp the rounds with a rubber stamp. This is the one I used today. And my finished whistle, I've used this one, which is smaller. Then I dome the pieces by using this round wooden ball. It's a matter of putting the clay on top and doming it using your hand. So then the next step will be to slip and score both halves and put them together. I have scored the edges of my whistle parts with my fancy scoring tool, and now I'm going to dip my brush into some vinegar, since I don't have any dry clay to use as slip, and brush the edges. So the next thing I'm going to do, on my finished whistle I have a hole where my leather cord will go into. So I've started to kind of squish this one end down, and you almost have to get it together, and then I will use my hole maker to make a hole as shown in the finished whistle. I've made the holes in the top of the whistle for my leather cord using my hole maker. Looks pretty good. What we need to do is take a pencil on the back side of the whistle, go straight down, and bend upward. Now we have to thin this edge inside clay is getting a little dry, but it's alright. And then what we're going to do is stick a small stick through here so that we can see it into the hole, and then we're going to flatten this edge out just above the stick. So when you blow into this hole, you will blow onto that thin edge, and that will make the whistle sound. Alright, that's the next step. Alright, now we're going to insert a stick. This is a little like a popsicle stick that's been cut, and or a coffee stir from Starbucks perhaps, and insert it slowly into the hole. You can see the stick inside. So what we need to now do is hold that steady, get our pencil, and push this area down so that it will be a sharp point. Now when you stick your stick in, there's excess clay, and you can just use whatever tool you have to clean it out. And it may work the first time, but if it doesn't, it'll eventually work. So let's clean this up a little bit and then we'll try it. I've put a series of dots around the outside edge on the front, I've cleaned up the holes and I've signed my name. So let's see how it sounds. That's a really good sound. So my whistle is done, waiting to be dried, bisque fired, and then glazed. My whistles are now dry. I have placed them into my smallest kiln and they're ready for bisque firing. The kiln will fire to 1750 degrees Fahrenheit and it'll take about 6 hours. In the past I've used a mesh basket to fire my ceramic whistles in, and this mesh lasts only a couple of firings, so I decided to get a more substantial form to hold the basket, which may not deteriorate, we'll see, but this looks pretty good. I found all these parts at the hardware store and I used nuts and bolts and washers, and it seems sturdy enough. And then I'm going to make a basket out of this hardware cloth to fit inside this form, so I hope it works. Here's the wire basket I made for my form. I used some high temperature wire to hold it together. I hope it makes through one firing. After my whistles are cool tomorrow, I'll do some glazing and we'll test this new contraption out. It's not rocket science, but I think it'll work. I've been glazing my whistles. It's a very simple procedure. Just brush on the glaze. Of course, getting nothing on the bottom so that it'll stick. We don't want anything on the bottom. And after I finish them, I'll put them in this basket. I think I'll fire 4 at a time. This is the new basket I made, which I showed you. My whistles are firing right now in this little kiln. When the temperature gets to 1750 or more, I will look inside, make sure the glaze has melted and is shiny, and then I will remove the basket with the 4 whistles and put them into a trash can. I'll show you. Here's the trash can. It has shredded newspaper, sawdust, and eucalyptus leaves. I'll place the basket inside, add more shredded paper, and then I will place several sheets of newspaper that have been wet over the can, and then I'll put the lid on. The wet newspaper will keep the smoke inside the can. We're ready to look into the can to see what happened. This is the wet piece of paper I put on top. Well, I see red. Red means reduction, and green means oxidation. So it looks like this fire had lots of reduction. So we'll wait till these cool a little, take them inside and wash them, and then I'll show them to you. Here are the 4 whistles. They actually have a metallic color, but I thought they turned out very nice. The question is, do they whistle? That one does. Okay, they all work. So that was a good firing. Here are my 4 whistles that I fired. I've attached a leather cord which is adjustable. So my whistles are finished.